Here we go for the second time here this evening. It's Jan Opmeer ahead of Otis Lawrence, and we are underway for the second time here in Mexico. Jan Opmeer with a good start, heading down in towards turn number 1. Alvaro Carreton in Ismail Fashy bringing up the rears. They head now in towards that braking zone. Jan Opmeer covering off that inside line. Here comes Alvaro Carreton looking to squeeze his way in the middle. Jake Benham coming around the outside. Otis Lawrence taking the lead of the Grand Prix ahead of Jan Opmeer, but he rides over the curbs on turn number 2, and Jan Opmeer thrusted back into the lead as they head up the hill in towards turn number 4. Looks like Alvaro Carreton is arriving onto the scene. This time by Nathan, it's a much more scrappy start here this evening.
Indeed, contact there between Otis and Jarno. Otis now down to P5 after a bit of contact with Jarno Opmeer, and towards that corner we can see now. Obviously, Alvaro looking to get himself ahead of Jarno Opmeer if he can, to try and stretch ahead. Obviously, Jake Benham as well. Very good stuff from him this time. P3 have also got an instant, and that's all. It's Van Pookie again. It's Van Pookie around at the back of the field. That could be definitely his race done here tonight. Thomas Ronhaar, Dan, already into P11.
Wow.
What a start there from Ronhaar.
Yeah, great start from Thomas Ronhaar. Here comes Alfie Butcher once again battling it out with Otis Lawrence. Alfie on the soft compound tyres, looking to make his way up the order. He's already up 2 spots in this Grand Prix. Tamas Gao up the inside of Otis Lawrence, being brutalised after losing the lead on lap number 1. He was so close, on the precipice of taking that lead in towards turn number 2, but that slight mistake there has already demoted him down into P7. Will Lewis retiring in the pit lane. Ulash Zildrim also into the pits. I wonder if there was a bit of damage to the Haas car. It's Van Pookie. Fair play to him, Nathan. Continue along.
I think for now, all this one, we can see Otis Lawrence looking to gain in on the back of Ismail Fassi as well as they head down to turn 6. Ishmael's going wide, and that's led Otis to nearly tap the back of him. Is that safety car? Jack West is out.
Okay. Huh? Okay.
His car's continued.
What? Okay, so what has happened? Has Jack West crashed and retired on circuit?
Yeah.
And the safety car's been brought out. Alright then, safety car deployed on lap number 4. That's the first time in a while for this season. Wow, you'd expect it more often in Jeddah. But we didn't have any last time out in Saudi Arabia. So essentially now, Nathan, the race has been nullified. Safety car has been deployed for Jack West stricken Aston Martin. Now we're left with 17 runners in this Grand Prix. Lots of action very early on. Are we going to see any pit stoppers? Indeed we will. Alvaro, Jake, all these guys into the pit lane. The Mercedes double stack means that Jan Opmeer unfortunately can't come into the pit lane, and that is going to put the Dutchman on the back foot big time here, Nathan.
Indeed, it will be considered 2 Williams pitting there. That could definitely lose Ishmael Fassi's on positions. Obviously his teammates still in the pits. Oh, I don't think he's lost too much there, but he's lost a position or 2, I think, but definitely not too much. He's onto a set of softs. Ishmael Fassi onto a set of soft tyres, along with his teammate Alvaro Carreton there. That's interesting there between those two. Time as the safety car is in this lap, and we can get underway very shortly. Obviously, it's Jarno leading the way ahead of Brendan, and we'll see Alvaro probably, Dan, try and get the lead in the next, I'll probably say by the end of lap 1, surely. Yes. Well, lap 8, I should say.
Yeah, so it's Jan Opmeer's discretion. He will control the restart here. He's going to back up the field as much as he can. And we'll see if he is able to keep Alvaro Carreton, Alfie Butcher, Tamas Gao, all these guys on the softs and medium tyres to the best degree that he can. Look at this beautiful camera angle, by the way, with all the PSGL sponsorship and GT Omega Sim Racing Centre played across the circuit. Is beautiful work from Josh Merrin and Byron Hale. But here we are now, getting ready to restart. We're watching Alvaro Carreton already chomping at the bit to make the move on Brendan Lee, using a little bit of the battery, heading down in towards turn number 1. No DRS as they approach this first corner. Alvaro already drawing alongside the Sauber car. He's going to look for 2 into 1 as he goes later on the brakes up the inside of Jan Opmeer. Job done for Alvaro Carreton. Jan Opmeer really with no defence, and there is the Williams back into the lead of this race.
Yeah, brilliant there from Alvaro Carreton to get the lead now. Hopefully, lots of Jarno and Brendan will be holding all those behind me, and Alvaro could just try and fly off into the distance and make those soft tyres up. We can see Ishmael Fassi ahead of Otis Lawrence in towards turn 4 himself to get himself into P7. We can see further ahead lots of Tamas Gao for Butcher looking to hunt down on the back of Jake Benham, who's also looking to get himself ahead of Brendan Lee. Obviously, we can see already that's Alfie just pushing the Mercedes of Jake Benham through in towards turn 6. We know already that Jake, even though he's on the hard, is also a little bit slower in this point of the race, but it's all good to help hold up those for Jan Opmeer to try and push ahead. But you can see he's already lost a second nearly to Alvaro Carreton. Those softs are absolutely flying so far, and the hards there for Brendan and Jarno might not be the best strategy here, as we can see Alfie Butcher looking for a move there on Jake Benham.
Yeah, as Alfie Butcher really cannot get close to Jarno Opmeer whatsoever, and this actually could have been a great strategy from the Mercedes, who'll look to the inside now of Brendan Lee and towards turn at number 1. We saw Otis Lawrence darting to the inside. Ooh, a little bit of maybe a touch for Brendan Lee and Jarno Opmeer. That will allow for both Ismail Fassi and Alfie Butcher to go through on the Sauber car, and now is feeling the pressure from Otis Lawrence in behind. Alfie Butcher meanwhile doing battle with Ismail Fassi, who makes a move in his own right, and there it is, 3 wide in towards turn number 5. Brendan Lee looking around the outside. He has to take to that little escape road to the left hand side, and he is going to remain now being tumbled down the order of this Sauber off the circuit. And to rub salt into the wounds, he's got a time penalty to bet. He has lost so many positions in the span of just a few corners. His teammate Thomas Ronhaar makes that move into P8.
Indeed, you can see Brendan Lee pretty much like a moving chicane here at this point. We can see Dylan Warren ahead of the Sauber. We can see coming in behind Ruben Progenio looking for a move. Brendan makes contact with Dylan. Dylan goes off the circuit. Ruben goes up the inside of Brendan. Brendan breaks late, so Ruben can't make the move there. Dylan Warren, a little bit of a push there to Brendan Lee. Brendan has to back out, and now we can see that's going to be US Zildjian making a move on the back of Brendan Lee. Bit of contact. Brendan nearly in the wall. A bit of more contact ahead at the corner, and this is a little bit like nearly repeat of what we saw a few seasons back in another league where we saw cars come into contact at the final corner. But Brendan Lee down to P13. Whew. No, definitely not. So he's going to be under a lot of pressure, I think, coming to the end of this race. So what's that? 13 laps to go. He's got to hope they don't gain, over a second to lap, which I think they will do. So Jake could just be holding on for dear life towards the end of this race, unless he can somehow slot himself into that DRS and not lose a second to lap, which I think will be quite hard for him to do. Further back, we can see Thomas Ronhaar also onto a brand new set of tyres. He now heads down towards turn 1. Brendan Lee into the pit lane now off of his set of hard tyres. I think he knows that they're at the end stages here, and Thomas Ronhaar could be looking for a podium here in this race, along with Alfie Butcher, who's looking to gain in towards that first corner. Obviously, Thomas got that double DRS because his teammate being ahead, so we'll see him defend for an extra lap. We can see further ahead, all moves being made. We can see Otis Lawrence, bit of a send and spins it round. I think bit of a consequence for sending it. He went way too deep, and we've seen that happened 3 times in this race, Dan. That is quite a surprise.
Otis, man, that's just textbook stuff. I don't know why this has been such an issue, but I think in this race, Otis has been very guilty of it. Going for these very late moves. I've seen it every time from him there, and it's something that really does need to be ironed out, and I think he's gotten away with it in past laps, and he's looked cool whilst doing it. But he's not the quickest guy on this field like he was back on the Xbox days. He isn't able to do the things that he used to do, and that is because he's at a level that's so much higher than what it used to be, and he's paying the price for it. Hopefully, he comes to a realization of that very, very soon, and these incidents don't happen again, but he has paid the price in his own way of paying it. And I think no one else really was involved in the incident there. It was just a completely self-inflicted wound from Otis Lawrence there, who is now all the way down in P9 and 2 seconds off the back of Ulash. However, Ismail Fassi might have to look in his mirrors, because here's Alfie Butcher arriving onto the scene and disrupting the Williams party. And he gets himself into P3 and onto the podium now.
Also, the ones doing that in the pit lane, so that is it here for the one. Unfortunately, going to be out the session. Big shot. Obviously, had that spin earlier on from, I think it was Ulas who's winning, or someone, I can't remember who. And obviously, now he's dropped himself all the way down to the back of the field. Big shame indeed for Dylan Warren in this race. We can see as well, looking for moves, is Ulas yet again on the back of Tamas Scout. Tamas has got the DRS, means he can get that position ahead. Obviously, losing 3 drivers in this race, being Dylan Warren, Jack Weston will lose. Big shame for those guys who I think could have definitely looked for points here in this race. So, definitely not their ideal races whatsoever. Further back, we can see obviously Ruben Progenio looking to get in on the back of Jarno Opmeer, and Jarno is actually, it was what, 2 seconds off the pack earlier. Now he's in the top 10, a second back from Otis Lawrence. He could also be looking to have a bit of a redemption here.
Absolutely is now. Alvaro Caraton going to have to defend from Alfie Butcher. I wonder what the plan is for these guys in catching Jake Benham. Those mediums aren't going to last forever. Jake Benham is going to pull up a little bit of pace in comparison to them. Maybe not enough to really defend that time all too well, but it might be enough to hold them off for the time being. Alfie Butcher and Alvaro Caraton, the worst thing they can do is side by sides in towards turn number 1 and 2. Alfie needs to make this move as clean as possible. Alvaro cannot fight it, and that is what they have done. And Thomas Ronhaar looking up the inside now of Ismail Fassi. Is there going to be a little bit of contact here in towards the braking zone at turn number 2? Ismail going to be able to hold off Thomas ever so slightly, and Nathan, I haphazardly thought that maybe we're going to see another Otis situation there. Jake Benham is practically crawling through the second sector, and I think if Alfie's able to get through now, it's going to be very difficult for the likes of Alvaro Ishmael to get through on the Mercedes, and so maybe he could do a good job. But it seems like for the time being, Jake Benham is really just holding him up here. Wow, doing his best job just to park the bus and allow for Tom Manley and guess who, Jarno Opmeer, to potentially catch up, Nathan.
Look at that gap, it's come down to 2.4 seconds as they're heading towards the stadium section. The gap's just constantly coming down and down and down. Alfie wants that DRS, of course, so doesn't want to make the move there. As you can see, Ronhaar up the inside of Ishmael Fassi. Oh, and they're all DRS chicken. I think Jake broke a little bit too hard. They're going 3-1 into the bottom corner, and Jake's right. Oh, dear me, Jake got contact with Alfie Butcher and himself, and they're all now going 3-1 at the final corner, back down towards turn 1. It's Alvaro ahead of Alfie. Thomas and Ishmael Fassi here, and a bit of contact on the straight.
Now Thomas Ronhaar looking to go through on Alfie Butcher, heading down in towards turn number 1. Tom Manley and Jarno Opmeer arriving onto the scene in towards the braking zone at the first corner. Ishmael Fassi going to stay in behind for the time being. Look who's in the top 5. Jarno Opmeer has made his way into the potential fight for the win. Nathan, it is 9:37 p.m. at the minute. We should have finished by now, but how about this? We're being treated to some great quality action here on lap number 32.
They head back down towards turn 4 once again, and we can see Alfie looking to get in on the back of Ronhaar, but no move's been made this time around. Jarno Opmeer getting in on Ishmael. Fassi goes to the outside line. Ishmael defends it. Jarno goes deep. Bit of contact between Ishmael and Alfie as they head through. Can Jarno get that move done for P4? I think he can. Yes, he does. Jarno Opmeer now into P4. Brilliant there from the Flying Dutchman now. On fire.
That is sublime from Jarno Opmeer. Superb move around the outside of Ishmael Fassi. Undeniable from the Flying Dutchman, who is now on the precipice of retaking a podium in this Grand Prix. Alfie Butcher, Thomas Ronhaar with 2-lap older tyres than Jarno Opmeer. Alvaro Carreton with 3-lap older tyres. It's looking good for Jarno Opmeer in his hopes of winning this Grand Prix. Next time by, it's 3 to go. Take your picks now. Who is taking the win in this Grand Prix? It can go any which way, but how about this? What a story, what a narrative from Jarno Opmeer as he closes to the back of Alfie Butcher and Thomas Ronhaar, heading down that main straight. What can the Dutchman do?
34 out of 36, 2 laps or 3 laps left to go here in this race. We can see them all gaining in. We can see Ronhaar looking for a move to the lead. We've got Ronhaar into lead. Alfie Butcher looking to take second away from Alvaro Carreton. So Alvaro now down to P3 in this race. Unless he defends it, he does go around the outside into turn 1. Has the inside at turn 2. Back to the outside for turn 3. Slight bit of contact. Back now, Jarno. Davide Sexy.
Oh, wow!
Jarno Opmeer through on 2 drivers into 1 corner. Possibly he does get it. Jarno Opmeer into P2 with this race. And now we can still see them trying to make moves. And no, they can't. Jarno Opmeer now with Thomas Ronhaar, the 2 rivals, fighting for P1 and P2.
The cerebral assassin himself, Jarno Opmeer, striking again. It's Triple H in the flesh here. He waited. He knew that he needed to play the mind games there. He let Alfie and Alvaro do their battling, and look at that. Look how it's paid off. He's reaping the rewards that he's sown ever since he's got back up into this train. Lap number 34 of 36. We're coming on towards 2 laps to go. This time by Jarno Opmeer, looking like he can take victory for the second week running. And what a story this has been for the Flying Dutchman. After having a big spell of bad luck, double stacking behind his teammate was not the option. And there, oh my word, Thomas Ronhaar sandbagging Alfie Butcher around the outside of them both. And Alfie Butcher, all of a sudden, Nathan, into the lead of this race. What have we just witnessed? Thomas Ronhaar trying to sandbag, allow for Jarno Opmeer to go through. And they both of them have paid the price. Here comes Alfie Butcher leading the way on towards lap number 36. Thomas Ronhaar and Jarno Opmeer doing battle, heading in towards turn number 1. This is when you've got to deploy it all on the final lap of the Grand Prix. Thomas Ronhaar to the lead of this race. Jarno Opmeer following on through, but Thomas Ronhaar taking P1 and Jarno Opmeer sitting behind in second.
Indeed, because we could see there now Jarno going to have to try and close him, but Thomas has DRS into turn 4, so we'll still see a battle, and he's gone a little bit wide. This is allowing Jarno to get into the outside. He goes. Will it be Jarno? Will it be Thomas? Who has the lead in towards turn 4? Thomas breaks later, has the inside line, but he goes deep. He goes very deep. That allows Jarno to go around the outside. Contact between the 2, and they go ghost as they head in towards turn 6. I think Jarno's got it here.
Jarno Opmeer leading the way on the final lap of this race. Thomas Ronhaar falling at the final hurdle. He played the tactics to perfection, but it hasn't worked out, unfortunately. And Jarno Opmeer, undeniable from the very beginning, on pole in the wet. He's faced adversity throughout this entire Grand Prix with a good deal of luck from his teammate Jake Benham, doing a fantastic job defending. Jarno Opmeer, your championship leader. The confetti, the fireworks all over, littering the circuit through the Peraltada for the final time. Thomas Ronhaar can do no more. Jarno Opmeer, 2 weeks in a row, will take victory here in PSGL. What a race from the Flying Dutchman. Let's have a look then at your finishing order. Jarno Opmeer winning this race ahead of Thomas Ronhaar. Alvaro Carreton in third. Alfie Butcher going to feel a little bit hard done by in P4 at the end of that one there. Of course, he didn't get any DRS for the double DRS detection zone. When he was running in third, he really didn't expect to make that move. Ismail Fassi in fifth. Sixth was Tom Manley. Seventh, Ben Jabakonyi. Luke Smith in eighth. Ninth is Philip Presnader. Tamas Gao rounding out that top 10. And the last of the points paying positions, Isman Pukki in 11th, 12th is Otis Lawrence, Ulas Zildrum 13th, 14th Ruben Pedreño, Jake Benham 15th, 16th is Brendan Lee, and then DNFing out of this one, Dylan Warren, Jack West, Will Lewis, and we'll count him.
Desperately trying to hang on. He's got the inside. Opmeer is through on the left-hand side. Hooks the apex, gets on the power nicely, and that is job done. Jarno Opmeer now to the last couple of corners now. His finest drive, his greatest drive, and he's done it at the Circuit of the Americas. He returns to the top step of the podium. Once again, the GOAT is back. Jarno Opmeer wins the US Grand Prix in a stunning Grand Prix.